Hi, welcome. My name is Dale McCluskey, and on this video clip I'd like to take just a couple minutes to talk about the science of dog training, why I claim that it is a ideology rather than consistent science that is holding hands with truth, so to speak. Because what I show very clearly is that the whole issue of the dominance issue and showing dogs as relational beings with separate relational needs, what it does is it really shines a light on this ideology and exposes it for what it represents. It represents a very much the main problem when it comes to creating the type of change between dogs and owners which is needed for dogs to be brought into the follower script and to push back on unwanted behavior issues. One of the big issues here is the whole dominance issue itself. If you really look at what this group is saying about this issue, you'll see the contradictions, you'll see the double talk, you'll see how it's being used as basically a cheap marketing tool with the intent of exploiting the feelings and emotions of dog owners to draw them in, so to speak. And then once they're in these environments where what they're doing then is taking learning theory and elevating it up into a level which is really leading dogs and dog owners to be going through the motions, so to speak, and ending up in a worse position than when they started. And this is where you have to look at the parenting model to get a sense of why learning breaks down for some and for some dog owners at the relational level. And what I show, the comparison that you just can look at is the same as when it comes to the narcissistic person who lacks empathy and their how they see the world, how they objectify, and the reasons what motivates them is not based on a connection level, it's not based on respect, it's not based on empathy or seeing people as individuals. What the narcissist does is sees people, identifies people through themselves. They see people as an extension of their own their own feelings and emotions. And basically this whole thing about learning theory, that's why when I talk about dogs objectifying dog owners, it really follows the same path as the narcissist and seeing things through the lens of that type of narcissistic supply lens. And so when you apply that type of a methodology, what will happen is within these controlled environments, the dogs and owners, dogs will respond, but only at the physical level. There's a relational and physical disconnect. When I say that, it means that looking at relational change itself with impacting the dog's decision-making process, there's a disconnect between physical response and creating meaningful change. And it's because of learning theory being taken completely out of context. They're using motivating agents to influence physical response, but they're not qualifying the type of influence that is happening within this learning-based model or methodology. So it is fairly deep. I mean, when I talk about this, when I break it down, break these ideologies down, the reason I can do that is because I'm looking through a relational lens, so to speak. And so it is you have to have the ability to see it from through this type of a spectrum or a lens, to see where the breakdowns are and the reasons behind the breakdown. So yeah, I just want to speak a little bit again, about this whole science-based methodology. What's happening, it's morphed into a type of a ideology, and the whole dominance issue itself is being totally misrepresented. I mean, if you follow or really peel back what many are saying about dominance and look at what they say about physical force and tie emotions to it, they're totally off the deep end, so to speak. Because again, to understand dominance issue, you have to understand the relational side of dogs that way. Because otherwise, what happens within this ideology, dogs are merely an extension of that ideology. Therefore, they're devalued as a result of that, because people are putting their identity, so to speak, within this ideology at that narcissistic type level, that they fail to see the dog separate and apart from that, in a way that identifies that dog as having separate relational needs. And so when you tie all this stuff together, and that's the thing you have to look at, you have to have the ability to see the different levels of these interplays to understand how it's breaking down. That's the other issue, is there are some twists and turns. I understand them very, very well, but you have to have a type of discernment that it can only come from stepping back and understanding the relational component. So anyway, I just would encourage you to think about this when you talk about the science of dog training. Again, understand it is an ideology. It's not reliable. It's not consistent. People can get really upset about what I'm saying, but I show the evidence. I lay the facts out and let them speak for themselves. When I talk about learning theory and start to pin it down, and I talk about the dominance issue, start to pin that down, and start looking at and connect the relational dots with how a dog's decision-making process is impacted and what that represents when you look at unwanted behavior. I connect it all and I fill the gaps in. So this model of training is one of a kind. Truly, I developed it. It's from asking the tough questions as to what really works for dogs and owners. The goal here is to keep it simple and just to start to see dogs at that relational level and start to understand exactly what is at work to create meaningful change and lasting results. So I'd encourage you to check out my website, call me anytime if you have any questions, or email me with a question you might have about your dog or about this model of training. I'll be more than happy to answer all your questions. Thanks very much.